Hello, I am Dinitya Sodara Jayaratna, Senior Lecturer, Department of Human Resource Management, Faculty of Commerce and Management Studies, University of Kelaniya. Today, we are going to discuss about employee hiring. So at the end of the session, you'll be able to define or describe what is hiring, and you learn about the hiring process. And there is something important, which is the probationary period. It's really important for you to learn, and we will discuss on that. And the legal factors you will learn when the legal of HRM will discuss. And then the principles to govern employee probation. Probationary employee කෙනෙක්ව manage කරගන්න තියෙන පුංචි principles ටික. Okay, so what is employee hiring? It's appointing the candidate selected to the post or job. Like we find, evaluating, establishing. It's a lengthy process, like starting from attraction, we look, find, attract suitable candidates for a specific job or a position, and then we evaluate, in employee selection, we evaluate the most appropriate candidate, most suitable candidate for the vacant job position. Here, it's establishing a working relationship with future employees, interns, contractors, or consultants. We are appointing the candidate selected to the job which we selected, done so much of evaluation in the employee selection. So, continuously discussing, everything should have a systematic process. If not, you'll not be able to do it in a fairer manner. The ඕනම process when it comes to attraction, selection, hiring, induction, performance evaluation, payments, anything, having a systematic process means you do a fairer process, fairer procedure. So here in hiring also we have a process which is very small process, and very it's not a complicated process. Okay. And the first thing the companies has to do is the preparation of appointment letter. We will discuss this in detail. Here, the company after selecting, after the company taken a decision to hire this employee, select කරගත්තට පස්සේ එක test තියලා, might be an interview, background checks ඔක්කොම කරලා අපි select කරගන්නවා employee. Select කරගන්නකොට මොකක්ද අපි select කරගත්ත employee appoint කරන්න, we have to prepare an appointment letter. Okay, and then we have to notify the appointees who have been selected. That means they are now appointees. So we have to notify them, inform them. Oya select vela. And then we have to do a follow-up process. Okay, to check whether this employee is gonna accept the job offer or reject the job offer. Oya select කරලා එයාට appointment letter එක ගැන inform කරනවා. Appoint කරා අපි ඔයාව කියලා inform කරනකොට අපි follow up එකක් ගිහිල්ලා බලනවා whether this employee or the candidate or the appointee accept. මං කැමති job එකට එන්න කියලා job offer එක accept කරනවද or not, whether that person rejects. If the person accepts the job offer, on that point there is a legal procedure or a procedure to accept a job offer, then it enter both the employee as well as the employer enter into a contract of employment. මෙන්න මෙතන තමයි contract of employment නැත්නම් employment contract එක starting point. If the employee rejects, එයා reject කරොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? The company has to appoint another employee, appointee from the waiting list. That means in the selection process, you'll have a waiting list, like a pool of selectors, selected employees, like from 1 to 10 or 1 to 5. From the marks, we discussed we should have objective criteria. So අපි ලිස්ට් එකක් හදා ගන්නවා සිලෙක්ෂන් එකේදී. ඕකේ මේ 5 දෙනා සිලෙක්ට් කරගන්න පුළුවන් 1 2 3 4 5 from the ascending order වැඩිම මාක් එකේ ඉඳලා අඩුම මාක් එකට වෙනකන් waiting list එකක් හදාගෙන ඒකේ number 1 තමයි අපි appoint කරගන්නේ because that person has the highest marks. That means he's the most appropriate person or most suitable person. But if he rejected, he might go to another job in that lag period. So the company has to look for the waiting list and see who's the number 2. And they can go the process on and on until an employee accept or the appointee accept the job offer. Okay, so the first step is preparation of appointment letter. In this appointment letter, as we discussed in the previous lessons as well, where this is another document which goes to the personal file. First as the CV and then the appointment letter. එතකොට මේ appointment letter එකත් අපි personal file එකට attach කරනවා. So it contains terms and conditions of employment and give it to every selected candidate. So if you are selected to the vacant position and whether you accept the appointment, and as well to acceptance the company gives you the appointment letter. So it's given to every selected job candidate which the company is wanted to place at the organization, and this contains the terms and conditions of employment. So this becomes the contract of employment as well. එතර මේකේ මේ රැකියාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් සියලුම තොරතුරු. We will discuss in the next slide what kind of information that can be included in an appointment letter. Basically, we can say it's the terms and conditions. Okay, so here there can be different formats of appointment letters in any organization, to permanent employees, to temporary, casual. Because the terms and conditions differ for these types of employees, there will be different types of different formats of appointment letters for these different types of employees. So the company can have two types of appointment letters, which is a detailed one and a one-paged letter. Some organizations provide a one-page letter which is a summarized document on the terms and conditions of employment. සමහර ආයතන මේ terms and conditions ඇතුළත් විය යුතු අත්‍යවශ්‍යම කරුණු, necessary conditions. Necessary terms and conditions included in a one-page document. And some organizations have a detail, sometimes like 40 pages, 20 pages. Okay, a detailed one it includes all the relevant information, terms and conditions in detail. Okay, some organizations, they have a one-page letter and also a separate document as appendices or anything, attachments on terms and conditions. So there is a small one-page to two-page letter as the appointment letter, and there is an appendix. අපි කියන්නේ M1ක් එනවා, ඔක්කොම විස්තර in detail තියෙන වෙනමම a separate document. So it depends on the organization as well as depend on the position as well. As I told you, these are the terms and conditions, information included in an appointment letter. If it's a one-page document, as I told you, it will be a summarized document which includes the name of the employee, address, company address, job title, effective date of appointment, status of employment, which is permanent, temporary, contract, casual, then duties and responsibilities, probationary period, name, date, and signature. So these are really important information because job is given to an employee. So the name of the employee should be there because this becomes a contract. becomes a legal document. ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕන කවුද පුද්ගලයා, address එක, job title and effective date of appointment. මේ දවස් ඉඳලා තමා මෙයාව පත් කරන්නේ. And also status of employment, like whether you are a permanent, temporary or any kind of employee. And also an appointment letter includes the duties and responsibilities. And it includes the probationary period. ඔයාගේ පරිවාස කාලය. We will discuss in detail what is probationary period and all. But still, it's a must to include it in a appointment letter. If not, the company can't tell you, this is your probationary period, you have to work until this. And the name, date and the signature where you accepted it as. Okay. And the terms and conditions, this can go as a separate document or can include in the appointment letter with the first page as well. So wages and salaries, incentives, how the increments are given, hours of work, if it's a 40 hours job, 30 hours job, any. Then holidays and leaves, how many leaves that you have in terms of casual, medical, how the leave entitlement and the holidays. Then the overtime work, if you are working overtime, how it can be paid. And probationary rules, like how the company is going to confirm you after your probationary period, or confirm කරන්න කොහොමද job එකේ මේ දවසේ වැඩ කරලා performance measure කරලාද, likewise the rules. Then transferability. You know, some jobs in Sri Lanka, especially in the government sector, you can apply for the transfer after completion of 3 years period from the date you accept the appointment. The transferability, like the rules on transfers. Then retirement age and other related information. So what is your retirement age? Like in the government, it's age of 55, and the government has changed it to 60 or 63 in different sectors, and also in the university sector, academics, it's 65. So likewise the retirement age in a private sector, depending on the organization, but still it's 55. So likewise it depends. And the termination of employment, ඔයාව company එකෙන් terminate කරන්න පුළුවන් ඔයා මොන වගේ දෙයක් වැරදි දෙයක් කරොත්ද, indisciplinary activity එකක්ද, anything that the company can, how can the company terminate you. So all these kind of information should, it's a must to include in the appointment letter. So whenever an organization as the HR department, when you work in an organization in the HR department as the HR manager, you have to think that when you are developing an appointment letter, at least to include all these informations to avoid legal cases. If not, the company, the employee can sue against you because you have not given proper terms and conditions to the employee. Okay, එතකොට loopholes තියාගන්නේ නැතුව, you have to include all the information in this, so that will be easy. I'm talking about the company side. So as an HR manager, you have to be very careful in developing this appointment letter to include all the informations to avoid the legal cases. නැත්තම් හරියට information දීලා නැත්තම් termination එකක් ගැන, probationary rules ගැන, and hours of work and overtime work, wages and salaries, මේ වගේ දේවල් ගැන, මේ තමයි terms and conditions. මේවා හරියට දීලා නැත්නම් transferability and all, කාටවත් word of mouth දෙයක් කියන්න බෑ. කවුරු හරි කිව්වොත් එහෙම company එකේ okay ඔයාට අවුරුදු 5ක් ඉඳලා තමයි transfer එක ඉල්ලන්න පුළුවන් කියලා, that employee can refer to the appointment letter given and tell your manager, this is included in the appointment letter, so I can apply, I'm eligible for a transfer. අනේ හින්දා කල්පනාකාරීව appointment letter එක prepare කරන්න ඕන. එතකොට company එක පැත්තෙන් ඒගොල්ලන්ට legal cases avoid කරගන්න පුළුවන්. And as I told you, it's a letter of appointment is issued to the successful job applicant in order to assume his or her about the job. Okay, so job එකේ duty assume කරන්න the company give the appointment letter. So this company letter or like the appointment letter can be useful for job applicants to take action, resign from the current employer. That means if the company employee working in an organization currently, so that employee has to resign from that and come to this organization. So mostly employees wait for this appointment letter to give resignation for their previous employment. මොකද appointment letter එක දුන්නාම තමයි with this it makes an assurance for that employee that you will get you have got selected and you will get a placement or you will getting hired. මොකද එම නැතිනම් ඔයාට appointment letter එක හම්බ වෙනකන් කට වචනයෙන් කිව්වට ඔයා selected කියලා අපිට අතේ legal letter එකක් නැහැ. මේක legal letter එකක් ඔයාව appoint කරා කියලා job එකට. එතකොට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට resign වෙන්න ඉන්න organization එකෙන් employees are waiting until you receive this appointment letter. So this can use that employee to resign from his current employment. And it's also, as I told you, it's an integral part of contract of employment between the appointer and appointee. Because as I told you, in an appointment letter, it has two copies, okay? Two copies given to the employee and the employee has to sign in it, in the both, putting the date and signature. Okay, so after putting the date and the signature, it ensures that employee has accepted the job offer. සාමාන්‍යයෙන් employeeට appointment letters දෙකක් දෙනවා print කරලා company එකෙන්. ඒකේ company owner, CEO, GM or anyone has signed there and employeeට කියනවා ඒකේ signature එකයි date එකයි දාන්න. දාලා එතකොට දාපු ගමන්ම two signatures are there, CEO, GM and the employee. So it becomes an contract of employment and two copies තියෙනවා කියවනේ. The one copy will kept with the employee for his own reference. So employee ගාව copy එකක් තියෙනවා. අනිත් copy එක company එකට දෙන්න ඕන. Then the company will attach it to the personal file. මොනවම හරි legal matter එකක් ආපු ගමන් company will refer to the appointment letter. So that's why it's really important about an appointment letter to give an appointment letter and take a copy to the organization. The organization එක මතක තියාගන්න ඕන copy එකක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට ගන්න. Okay, so after this is about from the company side. As I told you, then appointment letter, it has to be two copies, have to give to the employee and then get it signed by. So before that, after preparing the appointment letter, so now we have to notify the employees, notify the appointees, okay? So here we notified to selected employees by the relevant authorized manager on behalf of the organization. So it might be the HR manager or an assistant HR manager, anyone. So it's an authorized manager, okay? Rather like executive, no, but with the authorized manager, it has to notify or like inform the employee. So this, like generally, this letter of appointment issued through a registered post, okay? So, you know, with this kind of environment in a country, that might be it not work with a registered post. Now people use courier as well, okay? Because the postal office, because of these current situations from COVID to these kind of issues like in environment, the company can use a courier as well to send an appointment letter to a candidate or for an appointee. Also, private organizations now what they do is they email it. In government organizations, still these electronic things are not happening that as much as possible, but in private organizations now they email the appointment letter. So then this notify those who were not selected through a letter and wishing them success in future. This is something important, okay? We say it as a rejection letter. Appoint letter එකක් දෙනවා appointed employees letter වගේම rejection letter එකක් යවනවා for the people who were not got selected. ඇයි අපි මේ rejection letter එක යවන්නේ? Because to make that, like, to have a favorable impression or to create, like as I told you when we discussing about employee selection, we discussed that we should create a favorable impression on the employee. So because of that, make as much as fair procedure to select employee will be a good method. In here as well, we can notify the appointees. People who have got selected, we notify them using the appointment letter. So select which appointment letter select which we can use a rejection letter stating that you have not got selected but wish success in the future. And also, if that employee is overqualified, underqualified නෙවෙයි, if that employee is overqualified only, we can better state it that you are overqualified, and also we can say that that employee you have performed very well at the interview, but unfortunately we have only one position. Sometimes you are overqualified in terms of other words, and wishing him success in the future. And also in the future when there is another position, vacant position, we can might consider you in the future. Likewise, the organization can inform the employee. So also this ensures that the organization have a systematic way of selection and make the candidates happy. Okay, so sending an appointment letter as well as sending a rejection letter is important. Okay, this is a sample rejection letter which you can address to a rejected employee, like as, thank you for your interest in our company. We appreciate the opportunity to consider you for a position on our team. We've reviewed your background and experience and have decided to proceed with other candidates who meet our needs more closely at this time. That doesn't show that this employee is not bad, but still say that there are other candidates who meet our requirements more closely. So this was an extremely competitive process and we received hundreds of applications. This was definitely a tough decision for us as you were a solid candidate. This letter says that you were very good, but there are so much of applications and there were some few were better than you. So because of that, we couldn't select you at this time. So we wish you the best in your future endeavors. If you received such a rejection letter, you won't get mad at the company. ඔයාට මේ වගේ ලෙටර් එකක් හම්බුනොත් ඔය කම්පැනි එකකට තරහ ගන්නෙ නැහැ. මොකද එයාලා ඔයා ගැන හොඳ කියලා තියෙන නිසා. Okay? So if you're sending as the company side, if you can send this kind of rejection letters, so the company, like the employees, will create an favorable image on you. Okay, up to now we have prepared the appointment letter and then we notified the selected employees about the job. Okay, so now we have to follow up. Why? To ensure whether the appointees accept the job offer or reject, whether that employee or the job appointee is going to accept the offer or not. The organization has to check. බලන්න ඕනේ හොයලා අපි මේ සිලෙක්ට් කරගත්ත කෙනා කම්පැනි එකට එන්න කැමතිද නැද්ද. So all the appointees might not accept the job offer because you know in especially government organizations it takes a lot longer time to give an appointment letter. Like sometimes application, after the application they might get about another 1.5 years to get an appointment letter. Okay, නිකන් අවුරුදු එකහමාරක් විතර process එකක් ගිහිල්ලා තමයි appointment letter එක හම්බ වෙන්නේ. Rather private organizations that they don't take that much of a longer time, but especially banks for bank assistance and all, it take like a longer time for government organizations because there are lots of rules and regulations to adhere. So then at that time might be that employee or the appointer has gone abroad or has accepted another job in another company. So because of that, these all appointees might not accept the job offer. යවන හැමෝම ජොබ් එක ගන්නෙ නෑ. ඒගොල්ලන් රට ගිහිල්ලා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. වෙන කම්පැනි එකක ජොබ් එකකට ගිහිල්ලා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So it's really important for the company to get this know in advance. කලින් දැන ගැනීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි. Why? To appoint another suitable person to the job vacancy without a delay. Okay, so especially private organizations, as soon they get to know that this employee is not going to accept this job offer, they have to appoint another employee from the waiting list. So because of that, it's really important to know the company whether this appointee going to accept this job offer or not. So a special letter can be prepared and sent along with the appointment letter whether you are accepting this or not. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට government organizations වල special letter එකක් යවනවා. මේ දවසේදී වැඩ බාර ගන්න බවට අපිට මේ ලියුම නැවතත් company එකට එවන්න. Sometimes appointment letter, if the appointment letter sent through an email, that mail might contain information to reply back stating that whether you are going to accept this job offer from when. Likewise, the company can prepare a special letter attachment, a Word document attachment about the acceptance of the job offer. Okay, so if the appointee does not reply on or before a specified date, that email or a special letter can contain. If you do not reply, if you do not send back this letter before that specified date, it will be assumed that this person is not interested in the job and not going to accept this job offer. Okay, මොකක්ද කියන්නේ? Specified මේ දාලා තියෙන දිනයට ප්‍රථමයෙන් ඔයා මේකට reply එකක් හරි acceptance ගැන කියලා එවන්නේ නැතිනම් assume කරනවා නැත්නම් company එක හිතා ගන්න ඔයා මෙතනින් එහාට මේ job එක ගැන interested නැහැ. A good practice, as I previously mentioned, to send 2 copies of appointment letter. It's better to send such. Okay, after doing the follow-up, if the employee rejected, so we have to appoint a person from the waiting list. So we can decide an alternative suitable candidate by the company side. So this alternative candidate is not list එකක් අපි හදනවා හිතන්නකො මේ 5 දෙනා තමයි වැඩිම ලකුණු තිබිච්ච 5 දෙනා. ඒතර වැඩිම කෙනාට තමයි අපි job offer එක දෙන්නේ. appointment letter එක හදන්නේ. එයා බෑ කිව්වොත් අර 5 වෙනියව නෙමෙයි ඔයාට ගන්න පුළුවන්. The next most appropriate one, the next most suitable one, එකනේ number 2. Okay, so that's why we need to consider the waiting list here. Then after accepting the job offer, it enters into a contract of employment. So here it says that the employee or the appointee become a new employee, alut employee kenek. This copy of letter signed by the appointee properly entering into the contract of employment. Appointment letter එක අතට හම්බ වුණා කියලා there is no contract. After the appointee signed the appointment letter, it means properly enter into a contract of employment. Especially in the government organizations, there is an oath. අපි කියනවා දිවුරුම් ප්‍රකාශය. For nurse, for doctors, all the government employees, we have an oath. දිවුරුමක්. It should take before an authorized manager. We say it by our words or we can sign it. There is a place where to put a signature in an oath. Okay, So if there is, the company has to take that as well. This then contract of employment includes letter of appointment, appendices as I told you about the terms and conditions, and the statement of oath. These three combinedly consist in the contract of employment. Now, parivasakale, probationary period. It's a period or a certain period of time during which a new employee who was hired for a permanent post. May parivase kiwama, you might remember the people who are at prison and all. This is not like that, but still it's also very similar. Okay, it's a certain period of time during which a new employee who hired for a permanent post. If you hired for a permanent post, you should undergo for a specified period of time as a probationary period. ඔයා permanent employee කෙනෙක් විදියට company එක recruit කරලා නම් ඔයාට අනිවාර්යෙන් a specified period, it might be 2 to 3 years, 6 months, 1 year, a specified period as a probationary period. In this period, the new employee has to prove that he is capable enough to perform assigned duties of the job successfully. That means during this probationary period, the new employee has to justify, prove him or herself that he or she is capable enough to perform these assigned duties. May assigned duties perform කරන්න තමන් capable enough කියලා prove කරන කාල පරිච්ඡේදයට තමයි නැත්නම් period of time we say as probationary period. Subsequently, that means after this probationary period, usually the employee will get confirmed, get the confirmation of the job. Obviously, in any company with a letter, they give the confirmation as well. ඔයාගේ probationary කාලය ඉවරයි, මෙතන සිට ඔයාව confirm කරනවා. So until confirmation, that employee is not a legally not a permanent employee. Even though you have recruited to a permanent position, until the confirmation, you will not as considered as a permanent employee. This period can be between 3 months, 1 year, or even longer. So mostly in private sector, they have like 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. At any time during this probationary period, up to like end of the period, the employment can be terminated either by the employee or employee by giving a shorter notice. You know, permanent employment එකකට ඔයා ගියාම ඔයා company එකෙන් අයින් වෙනවනේ. ඔයා employee විදියට. There is a regulation included, a term included in your appointment letter. If you are resigning from the company, depending on the organizations, 1 month prior notice, 3 month prior notice. For us as a lecturer, if I'm going to leave the company, if I'm going to resign from the university, I have to give 3 months prior notice. මාස 3කට කලින් notice දෙන්න ඕන. මම මෙන්න මේ කාලේදී මේ රැකියාවෙන් ඉවත් වෙනවා. Some companies 1 month prior notice, okay? But if you are in probationary period, employee වගේම employer දෙන්නටම අයිතිය තියෙනවා. හැබැයි base ground එකක් තියෙන්න ඕන. You can resign or terminated by the employer with a shorter notice under this probationary period. එකයි මම කිව්වේ legally employee මේ probationary period එක complete වෙනකන් එයා permanent employee කෙනෙක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. In the public sector in Sri Lanka, normally the probation period is 3 years. Okay, there are special requirements to be fulfilled to get the confirmation in different organizations, especially in state organizations. We have special requirements to be fulfilled by this probationary period. ඒ කියන්නේ සමහර ආයතනවල විශේෂයෙන් රජයේ ආයතනවල probationary period එකේදී special requirements ඔයා මේ අවුරුදු 3 ඇතුළතදී මෙන්න මේ requirement එක fulfill කළොත් විතරයි ඔයාව permanent කරන්නේ. For an example, as a lecturer, you know, we have to complete our masters within these 3 years to get confirmed in our job. කතිකාචාර්යවරයෙක් විදියට නැත්නම් lecturer කෙනෙක් විදියට මේ අවුරුදු 3 ඇතුළත probation period එක තියෙන අවුරුදු 3 ඇතුළත අපේ පශ්චාත් උපාධිය සම්පූර්ණ කරගත්තොත් විතරයි අපිට අපේ රැකියාවේ confirm වෙන්න පුළුවන්. So that's a special requirement. So depending on the organization, these requirements mostly go with government organizations, but sometimes it might be included in a private organization as well. So there might be special requirements during the probation period for you to complete to get confirmed in the job. Okay, so there is a special thing in this probationary period, but generally every organization expects the employee to show clear evidence, prove his performance of duties and responsibilities in an efficient and effective manner. ඒ කියන්නේ ඕන organization එකක් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා employees ලගෙන් මේ probationary period එකේ ඒගොල්ලන් එයාලගේ performance එක prove කරලා පෙන්නයි. එයාට මේ රැකියාව හොඳින් කළ හැකි බව. Okay? In an efficient, effective manner. Okay? So in this probationary period, the companies, rather government organizations, especially private organizations, at least one time they do performance evaluation and check whether this employee performed the duties and responsibilities in an appropriate manner. They are going to do this performance evaluation. ඒ කියන්නේ performance evaluation එකක් කරලා බලනවා මේ employee මේ පරිවාස කාලය නැත්නම් probationary period එකේ හරියට perform කරනවද? Okay, so at least one time they have to do performance evaluation. Sometimes companies do for 2 to 3 times as well, several times, but still at least one time they have to do. Why? Because you know this, and after this probationary period, company has to confirm the employee. So if the employee has not performed well, what the company can do is company can extend the probationary period using the performance evaluation report. They can justify may employee get performance evaluation එක අනුව this employee has not performed the duties and responsibilities in an effective and efficient manner. So because of that, we are giving this employee a second chance. So we are extending the probationary period. Okay, so extending the probationary period because that employee has performed but not up to a expected extent. ඒ හින්දා ඒ කියන්නේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච ප්‍රමාණයට නැති වුණත් එයා ටිකක් හොඳට perform කළා දෙනවා good. Because of that, the company will extend the probationary period. If not, if the employee has performed well in an effective and efficient manner, the company can confirm the employment after looking at the performance evaluation report. The third decision is where if the performance evaluation report is very bad, the company can non-confirm and terminate the employee. That's why I told you until the completion of the period, he is not legally a permanent employee. Okay, so at the end of this, the company will recommend to give a confirmation letter after the performance evaluation. So if the employee's job performance is evaluated and not up to the expectations of the employer and has signs of improvement, as I told you, he has performed well. Employee hondata perform karala. And also, but it's not up to the expectations. බලාපොරොත්තු වෙච්ච තරමින් නෙමෙයි. But signs of improvement is there. මෙයාට තව චුටි කාලයක් දුන්නොත් he might improve. Under that ground, for one time, extension is given because replacing is costly. මෙයා හොඳයි තව චුට්ටක් probationary period එකේ තියලා perform කරන්න කිව්වොත් එයාගේ performance අපිට improve කරගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. මෙයා ඉන්න එක අපිට වාසිදායකයි replace කරනවට වඩා අන්න ඒ ground එක මත company can give an one time extension. If the probationary employee is still unable to prove the suitability at the end of the extended period. Extension එකේදී prove කරන්නත් බැරි වුණොත් he is a good employee, the company can terminate the employee, that means non-confirmed. The thing is, better to issue a non-confirmation letter at the end of the probationary period unless the termination is on grounds of misconduct. ඒ කියන්නේ if the employee's performance evaluation record is bad, company can issue a letter that this employee has not performed up to expected level and his performance level is less according to the job level. Hence, the company is terminating this employee. But if the employee has done a misconduct, if the employee has worked not according to the rules and regulations of the company, indisciplinary action, the company directly can terminate that employee without giving an unconfirmation letter. ඒ කියන්නේ වැරදි දෙයක් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් නීතිමය පැත්තෙන් වැරදි දෙයක් නැත්නම් company එකේ rules and regulations වලට විරුද්ධ දෙයක් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් without giving an unconfirmation letter, the company can terminate this employee. So there are a few principles when to manage probationers, to evaluate the job performance. This is really important and very, very important to evaluate at least once before making a decision to confirm or not. At least once the performance evaluation is important. But better to conduct a performance appraisal or performance evaluation 2 times. When? ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කියනවා beginning. Do a performance evaluation and at the end of the probation period. So you can compare the reports whether this employee has improved the performance. Okay, so better to conduct 2 times, but at least once it's a must. And also, as when we are discussing the selection criteria, as I told you, it has to be objective. Okay, in here also performance appraisal should be more objective. You will learn more when you are doing performance appraisal. Okay, so here performance evaluation or performance appraisal criteria should be more objective. And to inform progress to the practitioner, probationer. Whenever a performance appraisal or performance evaluation is done, there should be a one-to-one discussion with the probationer to inform his strengths, weaknesses, advices and directions to remove the weaknesses and improve the strengths further. Okay, so whenever a performance evaluation is done on the probationer, it is advised to discuss with him about his strengths. It's a really important strength and how to improve the strengths further. Weaknesses, how that weaknesses can be removed, and also advisors. So it's really important to that to manage the probationers and improve them to get better performance. Then to give the confirmation if the job performance is good or excellent and other requirements have been met. As I told you, සමහර probationary period වල requirements තියනවානේ fulfill කරන්න. එතකොට if the employee has completed that requirements or fulfilled those requirements, and if the performance is good or excellent, it is advised to give the confirmation. To extend the probationary period for one time, to extend probationary period at least එක සැරයක් extend කරන්න if job performance is not good but not poor. Okay, or other requirements have been not met. එයාගේ performance හොඳයි, good, but a requirement එක meet වෙලා නැත්නම් the company can extend the period for a one time. Or not good but not bad, නරකම නැහැ performance but not that good as expected. ඔය conditions දෙක යටතේදීම we can extend the probationary period. What are the conditions? That employees performance is good but the required requirement has not been met. At that moment the company can extend the probationary period, but only one time. Okay, only one time, not 3 to 4 times, only one time. And another condition is where the performance is not good but not bad. Good හොඳත් නැහැ but නරකමත් නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ මෙයාව අපිට improve කරගන්න පුළුවන්. If that employee is at that kind of a level, still the company can extend the probationary period for a one time. To inform the probationer about the performance reviews and violations of discipline in writing. Okay, for future denials, to avoid the future denials. මට මොනවද ඉන්ෆෝම් කළේ නැහැනේ, මාව කොහොමද එහෙම එක්ස්ටෙන්ඩ් කරන්නේ, ඇයි මාව කන්ෆර්ම් කළේ නැත්තේ. Employee can sometimes go for legal actions as well. So to avoid that, it's really important to inform the performance reviews to the employee, as well as if there is any violation of discipline actions or indisciplinary actions or any kind of violation of rules and regulations of the company, it's really important to give them in writing. Keep records. Record එකක් තියාගෙන employee inform කරලා තියන්න ඕන to avoid the future denials by the probationer, as well as to avoid the legal actions. So that is the end of employee hiring. You can watch whole video. If you have any queries, you can comment. Thank you.